What's up, Lorcana community YouTube? Today I'm here with a very, very special guest. I know you guys have seen him before on the channel, a very good friend of mine. And this is Mr. Jonathan Lam. I'm going to go let him introduce himself real quick, just in case for those who aren't familiar with him.
Uh, um, my name's Jonathan, and I recently played at the Las Vegas DLC, and I got top 8 there. Just really like Lorcana. I really like Blue Steel a lot.
Awesome. So you heard it, man. He got top 8 with Sapphire Steel. You did finish first day one in the DLC in Toronto. And just right before we get into depth into everything, how does it feel? I know, unfortunately, you did get knocked out in your first round in the day two. How does it feel to, transition to that into this massive W that you were able to achieve?
So I was pretty disappointed after Toronto, but um, I kept at it, and like surprisingly enough, I didn't start out Las Vegas that well at all. Like I started out, I think it was 2-1-1, and I was like, oh man, I might just be out of this one. But
Yep, I feel you.
thankfully, like we got really lucky, and like the support that people gave to me really helped push me through. And thankfully, I did better than last time, so that's a win in my book.
Yeah, that's a huge win. Definitely are right about like you did have a lot of people cheering you on. A lot of the Sapphire and Steel players in the community were super happy to see that deck shine. I know a lot of people thought that the deck wasn't good, tier two, but you were able to take it that far. Not only get your invite to the national tournament, but also get your golden Mickey. So congratulations to you. I
Thank
know
you.
a lot of people online were asking you questions, about deck build, what you thought of the meta. So I really can't wait to dive that in with you. So I guess real quick again, congrats, and just how does it feel? How does it feel to be a top 8 finisher in one of the biggest Disney Lorcana tournaments?
I think it's a really humbling experience. I think after Toronto, I was kind of like unsure of whether I was good enough to compete with the top players. But after Vegas, I just realized that like I'm kind of just a ordinary person, and like what means the most to me is all the people who have encouraged me to keep playing and keep going at it even when times were tough. I actually almost quit Larcana so many times, but I'm glad that I stuck it through and went to Vegas. So to those people, thank you so much, and I'm genuinely very humbled by this big win.
I think the fact that you said you were about to quit, it didn't look too good, and you were able to get a win by not giving up. I think a lot of people, really need to see that, right? Like even you just said earlier, right now, you didn't start off the tournament too good, but that just shows if you don't give up, you can hit that W. It just a matter of trying. So it's just really awesome to see you come from such like a comeback from the last tournament, and then even talking to you early on in the tournament, how you said you had already lost the game, but your mentality, you were still like, in the game. You were still, you were also telling me we're still in it. So that's just really awesome to see you. So again, congrats.
It was
You
nice to play round 5 with you and sit next to you. I was like, we can do this, we can do this.
Yeah,
We were like at like the middle tables. So it was just like it was so fun.
yeah, it was funny. We got paired next to each other in round five, and we both, I guess, tied with our opponents. You were on going
Yeah,
against red purple, and I was against red blue. So that was awesome. At least we didn't get O2'd or anything like that.
yeah.
But again, we were using Sapphire Steel, and I guess the first thing a lot of people realized about you, or when they saw the tournament end day one, and they were looking at the deck list, people saw Sapphire Steel fourth place. So right before we get into that alone, did you realize in your last round that you were gonna finish that high in the seeding in seed or no?
Yeah. So like I said earlier, I started off my first 3 rounds. I got one win, one loss, one draw, and I was just like, well, now I kind of had to win out, right? And then in round 5, when I sat next to you, I got my second draw, so I was
Mm-hmm.
2-1-2. And I was just like, well, I guess I have to go 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that like that would put me pretty high in seeding, but like surprisingly, like I was actually able to do it. A lot of it was luck. But yeah, I knew that going 6-1-2 would be pretty high in seeding, especially since a lot of people they would just go 5-0-4 and just intentionally draw a few
Yeah,
rounds.
so you'd have a higher seeding just because of the draws you got earlier.
Yeah.
And that was the tournament did run pretty smooth. Like it did start a little bit earlier, so it didn't finish that late. But what was your last matchup? That was the one that was the last factor into whether you made it in or not.
Yeah, so my last matchup was against Yellow Green, and it was
Yellow
a
green,
very,
okay.
very
Lemon lime.
it was a very hard fought battle, and I ended up actually milling my opponent. Um,
Milling your opponent.
I was I was at 0 cards in hand, and he had lethal on board, and I had no card draw. He ripped all of my answers to his board. I was like, all I have is one Tamatoa, and if I can find the last wheel, then I'll get it, right? So I play the Tamatoa, I grab the popsicle, I play the popsicle, I find the one of visions in my deck, and that gets the last weel to seal the deal. I was just like, wow, that's crazy.
How long did
Like
that
I
game
never would have known.
last for it to? That's
It,
insane.
it was like 40 or 50, like it was close to 50 minutes. Yeah.
Wow, that's actually crazy. And such a weird matchup for it to be your last one. Like it wasn't red blue, it wasn't amber steel. A very like rogue deck as well. That's just really awesome that you were able to 2-0 that. And what did you feel like right away as soon as you finished that match? Were you just the
It-
feeling of your chest relieved?
um. So actually, the last round, we only played one game because
Oh, okay, okay.
we went so far into time. We didn't have to enough time to finish the other one. And after I won game one, my opponent, he was kind enough to actually concede because
Oh, wow.
we
That's
would both be
super
knocked out.
awesome.
Yeah. So props to him. He's a really strong player. He, I genuinely should not have won that game. It was just up to luck, and shout out to him. He's a great player.
Shout out to him,
Um,
man. Wow.
yeah. The round nine was super close. Yeah, it was a nail biter for sure. After finish, I was just like, I couldn't really believe it because I had already kind of deep down, like I kind of like gave up already. Not really
Mhm,
like gave up. I played my best, but I kind of understood that I was in a bad spot. If I got even one draw, I would just be out. And
mhm.
I kind of understood like, oh, like whatever happens, happens. If I can get it, that'd be great. But if I don't, then that's kind of what I expected from the start. So it was a great feeling for sure. Yeah.
Wow, what a long day for you, and to end it in such a nail biter, and really like an anime ending right there. Shout out to your opponent. Do wish him luck if he does go to the next DLC, but that's really awesome. And wow, what a nail biter matchup. And the crazy thing is, once you won, you're like, oh, okay, I made it, and then you still have this hill to climb. We were in Vegas, so how did you prepare the night before to because also the you're able to see open deck list and you were able to see your opponent if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah.
And your first matchup was because you didn't come out on stream a lot, which is really unfortunate. What was your first matchup going into the second day, and when you saw that matchup, how did you prepare for that?
Right. So it was a little bit different from Toronto,
Hmm.
where I saw like they released the deck lists, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm playing red blue. I was like so sad about that. But this time actually, I wasn't too stressed about it because I felt that I had already improved from my last time. Like this time, I had gone 3 Let It Goes in a row, but this time I finally got Cinderella. So I was just like, well, like I should just relax. I actually made it. I did better than last time. I got some improvement. I should
Hmm.
just relax and have a dinner. And that food was like one of the best meals I've ever had in my life. It just tasted so good.
The
But when I
celebration
saw the
dinner.
deck list, yeah, when I saw the deck list, they released it and it was green purple, and I was like, oh my
Free
gosh, like
free matchup.
this is like I was so happy. I honestly just like memorized this deck list real quick, just to keep count of like the important cards that could disrupt my game plan. But other than that, I didn't like do any practice matches or all because I think it's pretty. I was pretty confident into that matchup. These green purples one of our best ones. Um,
Yes, I agree.
yeah, so, yeah. So I just made sure to get enough rest. Prepare myself mentally for tomorrow. Not be too stressed about it. Yeah.
And when you were going into day two, when you woke up and you were already there, what was your goal that you set for yourself? Were you already thinking you were going to take this whole tournament, or was it just I'm taking one step at a time?
So my goal is the invite. Um, since Toronto, I missed it by like 1 or 2 lore.
Right,
But
yeah.
I really wanted the invite because after Toronto, I was kind of like, oh my gosh, like I might not ever get a chance to day two and get my invite again. I was like, okay, that's what I'm going to shoot for. So I just need to get 2 rounds, 2 matches, and I'll be really happy. And then,
Mhm.
yeah, so that was my goal. And I thankfully I was able to achieve that.
And after you won your first round, and you ended up, in your top 16, well, top 32 match, and fortunately you did get your invite. At that point, when did the thought of like, oh wait a minute, I'm about to potentially win a golden Mickey here come across to you, or like how did that feel?
I honestly can't. I don't know how to explain how that felt. Um, it was definitely mind blowing for sure. I think that genuinely I was already, whether I got the Mickey or not, like I was really happy
You
about
were
the run,
content.
and
You
I
were
was really
content with
I
where
was
you
I
were
was
at.
content. Yeah,
Hmm.
and it sounds crazy because like the Mickey is like the highest achievement, but I was genuinely just very very thankful for what I've already got in that run so far,
Hmm.
and thankful for all the people who kept cheering me on. I felt like because of them, it was okay even if I lost. Yeah.
Hmm. And after you won that match, your top 16 match, to get into that Mickey, I believe it was green purple, and that match is on YouTube, and they actually did stream that match. And I actually was watching it on the sidelines with the homie Bad Vegas, cheering you on.
Yeah.
How does it feel to be playing on stream and off stream, and which one do you prefer?
Generally, playing on stream doesn't bother me at all. I don't know. I'm not sure why. Like, I just feel pretty comfortable up there. Um,
Do you get
I think that
nervous? Like, are you a nervous type of?
no,
No. Okay.
not at all. Yeah, I think honestly, it might be. I might be more nervous when I'm not on stream. Surprisingly enough, like my first round of top 64, I was like, my hands were like shaking, and I was like
Oh,
so
I
cold
bet.
and
I
everything.
bet. Yeah.
But I think like after that first round, then I really locked in and the nerves went away. So I wasn't nervous on stream at all. Yeah, I feel pretty comfortable up there.
Yeah, and you ended up winning, that top 16 match, and then you got your golden Mickey, and unfortunately, your tournament run did end in the top 8 against Red Purple. Um,
Yeah,
if you can like take back, if you can remember, pretty much what you think. Do you think you misplayed that game 3? Do you think it was just luck, or it was just that was just a very fair game? Just the people who might be wondering, who were watching you and saying, hey, you know what, he's on the play for game 3. The chances look pretty good.
sorry, it cut out for a bit, but I think you're just asking how did what went wrong in game three there?
Like if you think if anything went wrong, or do you think, oh no, like it is what it is what it was.
Yeah, sure. So I for sure made a lot of mistakes in game three.
Mhm.
I think part of it was I was already like I
Long
won
day.
everything,
Yeah, you won
and it was
everything.
a long, long day. So I think I'm just coping. Like I think looking back now, I wish that I had focused a little bit more for just a
Hmm.
little bit longer. Um, but my first misplay was um, when I played the Cogsworth on turn 5 or 6. I had a Smee that had quested twice. It had 2 damage on it, I think,
Hmm.
or maybe it hit something. But I had a Smee. I had a aerial on board, and I had a Cogsworth. I just played the Cogsworth, and my Smee had 2 damage on it, and I was thinking about whether to quest my aerial or whether to sing Grab Your Swords or sing Holy Roll with it. And actually, I was actually thinking about it very like I took like 3 or 4 or 5 minutes on the turn. And I was like, well, if he plays Exert Elsa right now, he can tap down my Smee and then trade it in, and then he can swing into my aerial with his fox, and then
Hmm.
with his other Elsa, and he can sing Bee King with rabbit and clear my whole board. And
Hmm.
I was like, I was very very conscious about that play. Like I thought it through completely, but I also thought like I wanted to do something with Ariel. I don't want to just sit there.
Yeah, it's
But
gonna
like so,
waste a turn.
yeah. So I quested my Ariel. I had one popsicle on board. That my plan was to heal Smee,
Hmm.
so that it would protect from the Exert Elsa, so he wouldn't be able to get my whole board. Um, but yeah, my plan was to heal Smee, but I also was thinking like I want to quest Ariel for 5 lore because it's a lot, and I feel like he wasn't gaining lore very fast, so I felt like I could just race him if I got the wheel off. So I made sure to keep my popsicle on board so I could get the extra 2 lore from Ariel. Um, but after I quested Ariel, I forgot to heal my Smee, even though I kept it standing up. But if I healed it, then he wouldn't have been able to get my board. I would have sung Holy Road with Cogsworth, and the game would have been over. So that was the first mistake. I think I, in my head, I was thinking like I need the popsicle, but I also need to use it.
Mm-hmm.
But I just had forgotten to use it after I quested it with Ariel. I just passed because partly due to fatigue, probably mostly due to fatigue.
Oh, for sure. I
And then
mean,
he actually had to punish, so that kind of sucks. But it happens. So
yeah, no,
that's
very well played to your opponent, and his deck list and build was very interesting as well. You know, a lot of red purple
yeah,
players weren't on the Elsas, and he utilized them very well in that
yeah,
scenario.
for
And
sure.
so, you know, your tournament run ends there, and I actually get to meet with you while you're getting your prizes, and you know, congratulate you. And we were both just, you know, saying how awesome you know, it had felt, you know, to see you. You know, how we were there in the round 5 in the, you know, table 200s, and to there, you know, you are with the success. And now, really, what everyone's waiting for was let's dive in. You know, we talked about your journey and how your tournament run was, but let's talk about what got you there and Sapphire Steel. Now, you know, again, initially, just like how we talked about it in our podcast 2 weeks ago, you know, where the deck standed in the meta, a lot of people thought it wasn't up to par with the top 3, top 4 decks. And, you know, in that time, a lot of different builds. You know, I had seen you talking different tech choices, different cards. At the end of the day, what made you go with Sapphire Steel? You locked it in, and yeah, just pretty much what made you go with that deck.
Um, I think the ultimate reason why I chose to play was because I'm bad at every other deck. But
Just Sapphire Steel only.
yeah, so the main reason was I just felt the most comfortable on the deck and I have thousands of reps on it. And honestly, like I kind of really wanted to play Merlin's Cottage. I had brought up the idea to a few of my friends, and they all most of them said I was crazy, but I was like, it would be so funny if this card made it to day 2. And I was just like, that would be like it would be a legend if Merlin's Cottage made it to day 2. So I really wanted to play Merlin's Cottage, and I was the most comfortable on Blue Steel, and I believe that like the matchups weren't too bad. Sure, like Red Blue was a huge percent of the meta share,
Hmm.
but I believe like I had 3 Aerials, 3 Tamatoas, and I felt pretty confident in that matchup. And the Merlin's Cottage was supposed to help me win that matchup too.
Now you
So
were.
overall,
Mhm. No, sorry. Go ahead.
no, 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 overall, I just felt like the matchups weren't horrible for Blue Steel. Yeah, it doesn't feel like an amazing deck in this current meta, but I had the most experience on it, and um, it doesn't seem too bad.
Yeah, I mean, I like your answer. You know, it's very straightforward. That's what you knew how to play. It's your best deck, and you ran with it. And your deck build in particular, I do have your deck build right here, and let's just talk about Merlin's Cottage real quick. I know everyone does see the shirt. We'll get into that in a bit, but Merlin's Cottage. So for those of you who don't know, when it's on the board to location, doesn't gain you any lore, but you can the players reveal the top card of their deck, right? So
Mhm.
what kind of reaction did your opponents have when you play that card, and they might not realize like, oh, I mean, it's a whatever card he gets to see, but really that's information, very important information. And I'll let you get into how you view that information, but what were your opponent's reactions, and what was the main reason why? I know you said you wanted to make it to day 2, but how actually impactful is it in the deck, just in case for people who don't know?
Gotcha. So surprisingly, it didn't throw most of my opponents off by that much.
Really?
I think they're just like, yeah, they're just like, oh, this is kind of interesting card. It's kind of fun. And
Uh-huh.
actually, I think it's just because my opponents are there and they were having a lot of fun just playing the game. And so having the top card of the deck, it didn't really throw them off that much because they weren't too worried about the outcome of the game. They were just trying to play to
Like,
have
oh,
fun.
it doesn't
Um,
gain lore or anything, not a threat.
yeah, yeah, and so surprisingly, yeah, I had hoped that it would throw people off more because I was just like, man, I can turn Lorcana into like 5D chess, and then I'll like big brain people, and but
the
surprisingly, like people were not too surprised by it.
Yeah, I mean the deck's already 5D, so at this point you're playing in 10D. You're just and what's crazy is when you use New World, you basically can look at all the cards your opponent draws, correct?
Yes, that's correct. So that was the original idea behind putting Merlin's cards in the deck. Is that if I play it and I sing Whole New World, I can see every single card that my opponent has, and
Hmm.
also the card that they're going to draw the next turn. So this is particularly useful for control decks when you're playing against control decks because you're the aggressor and you want to play around their answers. And they're always going to have the answers, but they're not always going to have the right answers for the
Hmm.
questions that you're asked. So, for example, if they have a be prepared, maybe I need to play my Pete with my aerial. Or if they have a dragon, maybe I shouldn't play my Tamatoa yet. I should wait until he uses the dragon. So, um, it really gives you more information and more confidence when playing against red blue because you don't feel like all of your stuff is going to die, even though that's not the reality of red blue. Like they have to find their answers. A lot of the times they don't have the answers, but we're just too afraid to play the cards, like play and commit to the board when we
Hmm.
feel like they have the answer every single time. So it's really to just nullify that fear factor when playing against control decks. Um, just um, so I felt like, wow, like playing against Red Blue is so oppressive. Like you just feel like you can't do anything once you get to like 8 or 9 ink. I was just like, I was watching my friends play, and he's a really good Red Blue player. I was watching him play. I was like he doesn't actually have the Medusa right now. He doesn't actually have the Maui right now, but the opponent's like too scared to play the castle.
Too
Because
scared.
the
Yeah.
opponent's yeah, yeah. So like I was just like, there's only one way to get rid of that fear. It's just more
Look at their hand.
information. So
And what's crazy is like once you play it, like it's a one drop, correct?
yes.
Yeah. So once you play it, I feel like no one's ever gonna interact with it. So you're pretty much just gonna look at your opponent's hand all game.
Yeah.
And just listening to what you said right now, it's just so crazy, right? It literally fits what Blue Steel's trying to do, and you're just
Mhm.
capitalizing off your weakness in the deck in a matchup that how you said, right? It's the Medusa, it's the B prep, it's the dragon for the Tamatoa, and it's crazy how that paid off, and such a like just awesome. Like it's just so awesome to see you get creative with that deck choice. As we dive into your build a little bit more, for all the Sapphire Steel players, you ended up going with Detective Mickey over Tipo. Obviously, outside of expecting green discard decks, other than that, was it just again mainly just you like to play the curve of 3 to 5?
Yeah, it's mostly just 3 to 5. I did have one T-Pone in there, um, because I wanted to add the third aerial, considering how much red blue there was, and I didn't want to go past 16 unequalables.
Mm-hmm.
And T-Po actually having the one of actually came up quite a lot in my games. Having the versatility to go like Popsicle Tipo Flaversham or Popsicle Tipo Pete into Cogsworth against Amber Steel, like you can play the Tipo, get your ramp earlier, and play the P to block their whole new world so you can guarantee to play Cogsworth right away. And playing Popsicle Tipo to Flowershan was particularly good into the yellow
Mm-hmm.
green discard deck. Just making sure that you can guarantee to get that Flowershan down before they can You Have Forgotten Me and discard your
Mm-hmm.
whole hand. So just having the one of, I think most people are too scared to play one ofs, but even in case that you draw a Tipo when you wanted a Mickey, they have the same purpose in the deck. It's just to ramp you one extra time,
One
and
extra turn. Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, it does a good. The Tipo does a good enough job, even if you're playing it on turn 3. So I felt like it was a solid inclusion, and actually paid off pretty well, considering that it was just in there for unequal.
Going forward, now that we saw Green Steel, winning the tournament, a lot of more players, might hop on, the train and start using Green Steel. Is there a world where you're just focused more maybe on Tipo? A lot of people see Tipo as being a bad move because you're discarding, but really like getting a Hiram on the following turn really isn't that bad if you TPO and now your higher arm
Yeah.
sticks and you can draw more cards? Or is it just straight up, you know what, guys, it's green steel, let's just stay on Mickey? Or are you going to keep your split like that, how you have it right now with one TPO and three Mickeys?
So I think that with the rise of green decks again, there's a lot of very strong green decks right now. Green purple is fairly good. Green yellow is very oppressive to play
Very,
against, and
very
green steel
scary.
just yeah just had a very good run in at Vegas. So I expect a lot of people to be playing more green decks, and maybe that would um disincline people to play red blue more. So maybe like we can cut some of the tech cards that were originally for red blue,
Red, blue, okay.
and yeah, swap back the unequals back to a green steel or like a yellow steel or more like across the board matchup spread instead of just heavily focusing on teching for red blue. So I would probably go back to Mickey, just because I think that having hand size is quite important against those decks, and also a lot of them have a lot of time, like a lot of trouble dealing with Cogsworth. Like Flabbersham is honestly it doesn't need to come down right away against Green Steel. Like they just genuinely don't have a good answer for Cogsworth. And even if we go down to zero cards, game plan against Green Steel in the past sets has
Top
just been
deck.
top decking.
Top
Yeah,
deck
top
core.
decking a 5 drop, play it. Top decking a 6 drop, play it. But we
Higher
have
arm.
like a better quality of
Swords.
cards because they have a lot of lower. They have a lot of lower end stuff, and we have a lot of higher end stuff. So we should generally win that. And also having zero cards in hand turns off the Prince John draw.
Mm-hmm.
So um, so we might pivot back to kind of having that game plan against Green Steel. It might be a little bit more difficult because they now have Diablos.
Yeah, Pete.
Um,
Can't forget
uh,
Pete.
yeah, they have now Diablos and Pete's, and it's very difficult to out a Diablo if you have zero cards in hand. You have to
Yeah.
find the exact answer. So we'll see how the meta develops and how many players are switching to Green Steel, and then we will switch the tech cards accordingly.
And does Champo? I see right here in your list. Does Champo stay in the list in that meta still, just because of the high defense on the card? You know, if we're in a steel meta.
I think that Champo is he is probably going to stay. Some people are starting to cut him, but I think that he is too good into too many matchups. Specifically red, purple, and amber steel.
Mm-hmm.
Just having the high health character to protect your board from Maui, or having a
A
character that
Zeus.
lives to Zeus.
Yep.
Yes, and it's important to have something that challenges for a lot of damage against amber steel because most of our stuff actually has like 3 or less attacks, so it can
Mm-hmm.
be hard to take out Robin Hoods. It can be hard to take out the stuff that has 4 health, like Lawrence's or Ursula's. So having Shimpo's really useful, and he protects our Cogsworth actually.
Yep.
So he allows our Cogsworth to exert, saying grab your swords, and you can play Chimpo right after so that they can't swing
To
in and
protect them.
get the Cogsworth while he's down. Yeah.
And how are the three let it goes in the list?
Yeah, so 3 Let It Goes, they're mostly because a lot of Amber Steel is running 2 or 3 big Cindy's. A lot of Red Blue has like Mufasas or Tamatoas. And Green Purple, they have like big Clarabelles and big Ursulas. And the only way for us to really get rid of those without like trading in a lot of guys is just let it go. So
Mm-hmm.
now that Red Blue's probably on the decline for a little bit, it will probably be good to go back to 2 Let Goes for now and use that room for something else.
And with like red blue going down, does that mean your count of Tamatoa and Ariel going down as well? But
So Ariel is
potentially.
definitely yeah. So Ariel's probably going to go down to 2. And if Red Blue is not a problem anymore, I might even go back to my Toronto list and try to um, build in that kind of build that kind of deck again where
Mm-hmm.
there's not really much top end. It's more like you're playing for the board, you're trying to control the board, and you're going to use locations or whatever to be alternate lore threats. But really just fighting for the board instead of having a like a game plan where you just have a big Tomato, a big aerial quest for like 15 in one turn, but just getting incremental lore each turn and doing your best to keep your opponent really slow. So
So pretty
if
much
red blue
like
is not a problem,
I'm sorry, like just real quick. So
No, go ahead.
pretty much like to you're saying like your plan is more to like just build a more focus more on your board rather than like a lower burst turn.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well.
because a lot of decks when Tamato first came out and said, or it's, I mean, when Fortisphere first came out in, I think it was set four, was
Set
it?
four. Uh huh.
I think, yeah. Tamato, everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, we have like Tamato with 8 popsicles. Like we're gonna like one shot everybody with Lucky Time." And I was like, "No, like there's no way." Like everyone was cutting Cogsworths
Mm-hmm.
for more popsicles than Tamatos. I was just like, "There's no way." Like it kind of felt like gambling because at that point, like if you have no early board control and you're not able to gain incremental lore to get to critical lore counts like 10 or like 12, you can't close out the game very consistently with just a lucky dime. Especially now that they have really good dime removal and hideaway and Cusco's
Mm-hmm.
and like
Yeah, they got a lot of
there's ways
nerfs.
to get rid of it. Yeah. So I don't think that that's consistent enough anymore. You can't rely just solely on the dime. You have to have early board control. You have to gain lore when you can, and use the dime as a finisher, not as your main game plan.
Yeah, no, I mean makes a lot of sense, and we have to you have to keep in mind this is gonna show define not define well I guess yeah define the meta right now as people are gonna prep for Seattle. I mean for Seattle, and it's only 4 weeks away. 4 weeks away, you getting that top eight placement is a shine of hope that Sapphire Steel is good. And with green steel being on the rise, we are a little bit more favored into that, and that is the decline of red blue. So blue steel to me still looks like a fine choice as a pick. And yeah, 4 weeks for the list to change up. And you did say a lot of interesting takes on how you would change the list. So I'm pretty sure if anyone wanted to use your list and was gonna ask you what you would change, I think you answered that pretty well. Just one more card I wanted to talk about your list in particular before we move on to another topic is what is your thoughts on visions of the future? Since if we are in a green steel meta, being able to search away or mulligan away your songs and then being able to just find the card that you need off vision. Me particular, when I lost in the tournament, I wish I had more copies of that card. I only had two. Again, that's just my personal thought on the card. But what are your thoughts on that card? Is that card staying in your list, or are you going up on it?
Um, I never used Visions of the Future as like Visions of the Future as like a core card. It was kind of like in my head when I was including it, I thought of it as like a fifth whole new world
Mm-hmm.
in a way. When you're trying to chain whole new worlds and just look for that next card draw or next gas for your engine. Like it kind of acts as a whole new world because you can look through five. It's not much different from looking through seven. So you can find that wheel and you can use it right away. So it would be like if you have a singer already and you find on the top of your deck,
You can
it
just
kind of acts as a whole new world
mm-hmm.
because you get to use the best card in the next five cards. So it helps a lot against discard actually because they don't discard your like they could discard it with bare necessities, but with like Ursula they can't take it and you can keep it
Mm-hmm.
in hand, establish your singer and then grab a song and then sing it right away. So with very little punish. But yeah, it I mean it did help me find that last wheel in my last
Yeah,
round. So
yeah. It
it
finds
seems
it
like it
finds.
kind of works. Yeah, I'll probably just keep it as a one of. Just because the card doesn't do much and like it doesn't it's kind of like a popsicle in a way. It's just a cantrip, but it lets you filter the top of your deck. Um, it doesn't actually provide value to the deck itself, but it increases the consistency of the deck.
Yeah,
So
consistency is
in
key.
in a meta where like we need to be teching against a lot of different decks and we really need the deck space, it might come out just as how like a lot of people are taking out a few Fortis Spheres just to include more tech cards that actually affect the outcome of a game rather than just a card that replaces itself.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of card. I'm a big fan of the card. I know you know that I'm a big fan of the card. So I'm really glad that you included it in your list, and people were able to see you use it in action. So super awesome. So after you got your top eight finish, and weekends ending, on your way back home, waiting in the airport for your flight. What are your final thoughts on like how the tournament went, how it ran, and I guess your overall experience, your time there being at the tournament.
Um, yeah, it was. I actually waited a long time at the airport. I think I got there. I got there at like 8 a.m. and then I waited there until midnight for my flight.
That's
And I also had a
crazy.
layover in Denver. So I was just like
That's
typing away at my
crazy.
guide for hours and hours and hours. But um, I felt accomplished. It was actually kind of nerve-wracking carrying like the golden Mickey with me the whole time. I felt like Frodo Baggins just checking for the ring
Making
every
sure
five
no
minutes.
one's gonna catch you
Yeah,
lacking,
making
bro.
sure I didn't lose. Yeah. But so I didn't get any sleep at all. I was just writing my guide. I was kind of worried to sleep because I didn't want to take my eyes off of the
Hmm.
card. Um, but the tournament, yeah, it ran really smoothly, and I think there were some hiccups. I heard some stories about whatever events happened, but it
Yep,
didn't really
I heard that
affect
too. Uh-huh.
my part of the tournament. And I'm genuinely like I genuinely felt like how amazing the Lorcana community was, how supporting everyone was. And, I had a great time meeting everyone from the Blue Steel Discord and 20 Lore Pro. It was like people come up to me and they'll be like, Jonathan, Jonathan. I'll be like, wait, who are you? And then they'll say their Discord name. I'll be like, oh my gosh, it's so nice to meet you. But yeah, it was really nice to meet everyone. Um, and overall, it was a great experience. And I hope that everyone else had a good time, and that I'll see you guys at Seattle and California. So
Yeah, I know I know. I did see a lot of people come out to you and saying, "Hey, thanks for using the deck." So that's just an awesome feeling. Also, again, awesome meeting you there at the tournament. That was super dope, and really can't wait for Seattle. But you had mentioned while you were at the airport, you were writing a guide, and I think we gotta let the people know, just in case who they don't know, what's on this shirt. So Mr. Jonathan over here, while he was waiting at the airport, like he said, was writing a very, very, very long guide on Sapphire Steel, and I highly recommend everyone checks it out if you're interested in playing the deck or learning the deck, or even if you already use the deck. Very insightful, super detailed and specific matchups, mulligans, and pretty much the strategy overall. I'll go ahead and let you talk about that a little bit.
so yeah, I spent pretty much the whole time at the airport writing it. I just had my laptop. I was just typing away. My fingers actually still hurt because of how many words I've been typing over the past few days. And I really wanted to release it yesterday. I think yesterday was my birthday. Yeah, yesterday was my birthday, and I really wanted to release it, but I wasn't able to in time. So I was really disappointed about that because I spent the whole day doing it. But I got it out at like 4 a.m. this morning. I think I finally finished it at 4, um, and I think that it's I think that there's a lot of information in there. I was kind of worried about like that it might not be high quality enough content because I was like thinking like Sky told me he was like going to look at it. I was like, oh my gosh, like I hope I don't disappoint Sky. It's just like he might not learn anything new from this guy, but like
Shout out Sky. Shout out Sky.
I'm sure that yeah, shout out Sky. He's the goat. But I just hope like I hope that it will help the newer players in Blue Steel really understand the um deep concepts that Blue Steel has to offer, and a lot of the not so obvious strategies that Blue Steel players use in deck building and in playing the game. There's a lot of very hard to optimize plays in Blue Steel, so every single little decision matters so much because one wrong decision and you can just instantly lose the game. That's the kind of the deck. It's very punishing, but it's very rewarding as well. So, just making a guide to guide players on how to um, read situations in the best way in order to make the best informed decision, so that they can really take their blue steel game to the next level. That's really my goal with this.
And I know the community's instant reaction and feedback to this guide was just awesome. They very much appreciated you and your time that you spent writing this guide. And you can't get it for $12.99 on the www.merlinscottage.com. It's a very rare shirt that you can see for here to show this
And
awesome
there's
guide.
actually a code. there's a code that Riplunks has
There's
for
gonna be a
10%
code,
off.
10% off. I'm gonna link it in the description, and you can get 10% off on that code. I'm gonna show them right here, just in case for people who aren't just watching. I'm just gonna open the website real quick, not sneak show too much, but right here as you can see, I've already signed up, and it says right here set 5 Blue Steel course. You got a couple of different chapters, different topics that you can go on. Super awesome website. Here's the homepage. You can set up, sign up, become a member. And you did say you're gonna be updating this guide throughout the meta, so that's also super awesome and such a good read. I do recommend everyone checking it out because you did put a lot of effort into it. So really, really awesome, really awesome. And
I think it's like
huh?
over 10,000 words, and
That's
as since
crazy.
Emerald Steel is like a new deck, um, like I haven't had much practice testing against it yet. So when I do get the time to practice against it, I'll for sure update the matchup for that deck on there.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and link that in description and the discount code as well. Just again, I do recommend you guys checking it out. And so after this guide, and you've seen, all the feedback that you got, Seattle's 4 weeks ago away. Moving forward, what's next for Mister Jonathan Lam? So what is next for you? Are you just gonna take it on chill mode until Continentals? And if you're not going to take it on chill mode, I really want to know your mentality because now you've been presented this opportunity to compete even at a higher level that a lot of players are, fighting for a spot to even qualify for that tournament. How does it feel now knowing that hey, I'm in this position and I have an opportunity to even change my life even more?
Um, so it's rough to balance school and playing Lorcana. Um, I had like missed like 2 exams going to Vegas. I had to email my teacher. I was like, please let me take this later. One of them did, but one of them I just missed. But even coming back, like I really was just focusing on getting this guide out as soon as possible because I know set champs are coming up,
Mm-hmm.
and I know people want to be preparing for those.
Yep, I agree.
And so that was my first priority. I don't know if it's the best priority, but so I got to catch up on school now. So I'm not sure if I will grind as hard as I did before for Vegas, but I'm pretty sure I'll be going to Seattle and just participating in local tournaments
Mm-hmm.
when they do pop up, like set champs. Those are always fun.
Yeah,
And for
definitely.
nationals, I think that there isn't too much
Information
meaning
out
to
yet?
practicing. Yeah, because it's going to be set six. So um, I think probably once set six comes out, I'm going to be grinding every day.
You're gonna be
Yeah,
like
but right
locked
now,
in.
yeah, I'm going to be locked and locked in.
I mean, I do see you, potentially being a part of that world championship. Definitely know you have what it takes. So, um, yeah, you just, I believe that's in January. So still have quite some time to catch up on school. Make sure you get all
Yeah,
that done.
yeah.
Because you don't want to have to miss it just because you're failing a class. School's important, so make sure you get that
Yeah.
situated. Um, just before we end this interview, recapping the journey that you've had since Toronto and now here in Las Vegas, and then again going forward to Continentals. Do you have any final thoughts, for the people who are watching on the sidelines, viewing your story, seeing your story happen? I guess this is just your moment just to speak your mind on anything that you want to say.
Okay, well, I just want to encourage everyone to keep going at it. I This is my first card game, and I started out pretty bad, honestly. Like, I would be very thrilled if I got like top eight at my locals. I was just like, oh my god, I got like a pack. But now, like, with every single tournament, just keep in mind that as long as you're improving, you'll eventually reach the top. And um, even if you lost the game, as long as you took something away from it that you can learn for the next time, just keep on that grind, keep climbing up, and just keep doing your best and don't give up. Um, and I wanted to say thank you to everyone who's been supporting me. Rip Lung's here. He's been great. I love being his neighbor in round five. We're best of us now. And shout out to the people at my locals and my girlfriend. She's lovely. Um, and thank you for everyone who just has been a part of my journey playing Lorcana. And I know that without you guys, I definitely would have quit long ago. So thank you for keeping me in it, and thank you for supporting me as always. Um, and onto Blue Steel stuff. I'm sure that it'll be great again, and I hope that we can. The guide, the hope of the guide was that we can start like
An
an
army,
army
bro.
of Blue Steel
Sapphire Steel
players. Yeah,
army.
we're gonna take over.
I
We're gonna take
dare for
over.
the Diablos and the Ursulas and Amber Steel.
Yeah,
We want all the smoke, and we'll take it on. No,
yeah.
man, I really appreciate you and the love you have for the community, especially the Sapphire Steel community. You know, you're very active, and then also replying to people who are asking advice. This is all in the Choni Low Pro Discord, which I'll link in the description. Super awesome Discord where a lot of the players, you know, talk in different color combinations. But in this one particular, Sapphire Steel, you're very active. I'm active. A lot of people are active, and really, like that's what it is, right? That's cool. People brainstorming together, talking about this deck, talking about a deck that we love, and then you know again meeting each other in person. That's just super awesome feeling, man. And I really can't wait for Seattle. I really can't wait to meet you again in person. Um,
Hey, it's your next invite in Seattle is coming. Your Golden
I
Mickey's
hope so,
coming.
man.
I'm calling it.
I
I'm
hope so.
calling
I
it.
hope so. We're gonna be teching and practicing until then. But yeah, again, I appreciate you for coming on and talking about your story. I guess just I wanted to end it real quick. Nothing Lorcana related, but just for the people watching, and again, you know, they're here listening to your story because you know you're potentially could be a continental winner and then going on to worlds, just like anyone who has your invite. But just you know, just want to ask you just about yourself real quick. You know, where you from? I know you mentioned school a little bit, and I guess if you want to just share anything else that people get to know about you outside of you know Lorcana.
Hmm, sure. Um, yeah, I'm in school right now for electrical engineering. I'm
Awesome,
from
man.
like Northern
Super
Virginia
awesome.
region. Yeah, so I'm like right outside of DC, and I started this ice cream cone that I haven't finished eating. Um, but
That melted a long
hobbies,
time ago.
yeah, I like writing music. I like playing games. I haven't played video games as much anymore because Lorcana is my biggest hobby
Your
right now.
life, uh huh.
Um, yeah, but I like I like sleeping. Nothing too crazy. I'm just a normal person. Yeah, I just love playing card games and love competing. So there's not much to me actually.
Well, now there is something to you. You're part of history. You're part of history in some part of the world because we know how big Disney is and how big Disney can get. But yeah, I mean, that just goes to show you, right? Like anyone can win. Doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, what you do. Anyone can win. Anyone can win. But as long as how you know, it's pretty clear, right? Like the way you speak about the game and you know the deck and how you view things, that you're not just an average player. And I don't mean that in any negative way. Just you know, an average player is someone who plays the game, but you know, you study it. You study your deck. You understand the meta. You understand how other competitive players play, and that shows and it pays off. So just super awesome just to hear you explain how your weekend went, and you know everything that you went through. And I'm pretty sure everyone else you know appreciated that. For those people who tuned in live, you know on Twitch, or for anyone you know who watches on YouTube, I know they're gonna appreciate your insight just because of how awesome it is to be able to top a tournament with a deck that still hasn't gotten a first. It's gotten so close, but
Oh
it's
gosh,
just so awesome seeing the deck in action, and you played it super well. So again, congrats to you, man.
thank you.
All right, so just want to just shout out again all the Sapphire and Steel players, the community. Shout out my girlfriend for attending Las Vegas with me. Shout out my homie Mark who was there with me at the tournament. Shout out Bad Vegas. Me and him were there watching you, cheering you on the sidelines. Shout out to Airbnb, linked up with him, and yeah, pretty much just everyone. Yeah, Airbnb was there talking, and I was like, hey, you know Jonathan's gonna make it, right? He's like, oh, what? Because he was on Sapphire Steel too, but unfortunately, our tournament didn't go as planned. But we took those
Seattle,
red blues for you, Seattle. We took those red blues for you. So,
you
just
did,
to
you did.
yeah, so again, everyone, thanks to you for everyone tuning in. Just to recap, merlinscottage.com. Check it out. Super awesome Sapphire and Steel guide. This guy is freaking crazy. He's a prodigy in this game. And congrats to you on your invite and your Golden Mickey. And I appreciate you for coming onto the channel again. And I can't wait for you to have you on next time, man.
Until next time.
All right, peace out, Twitch. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and I hope everyone has a awesome night.